First contact at sunrise. The morning rush at Chen's diner had just begun to ebb when the bell above the door chimed, announcing an arrival that would change Maya Chen's life forever. She looked up from wiping down the counter, and her clinging cloth froze mid-swipe. The visitor stood in the doorway, silver skin gleaming in the early morning sunlight that streamed through the windows. He was tall and elegant, with features that seemed almost sculpted from moonlight. His eyes, a swirling mix of purple and gold, surveyed the nearly empty diner with careful precision before settling on Maya. Most 16-year-olds would have gasped or stared, but Maya had spent too many nights peering through her telescope at the stars to be anything but thrilled. Since the Great Contact 5 years ago, aliens had become increasingly common on Earth, though few ventured into small towns like Millbrook, especially not ones who carried themselves with such quiet dignity. "Welcome to Chen's," Maya said, grabbing a menu from beneath the counter. "Would you like a booth or counter seat?" The stranger's lips curved into a subtle smile. "The counter would be perfect. Thank you." His voice was melodic, with an accent that seemed to dance between syllables. He moved with fluid grace, settling onto a stool directly across from where Maya had been working. "I'm Maya," she offered, sliding the menu across to him. "And you are?" "You can call me Zarin," he replied, studying the laminated menu with genuine curiosity. "This is my first time in an establishment such as this. What would you recommend?" Maya leaned forward, her dark eyes sparkling with amusement. "Well, that depends. Are you here for the full Earth breakfast experience, or just something light?" "The full experience, I think. When one travels as much as I do, it's important to embrace local customs fully." "Then you absolutely have to try our blueberry pancakes. My dad's recipe. He adds a hint of vanilla to the batter that makes them pretty much legendary in these parts." Maya paused, suddenly realizing something. You can eat Earth food, right? We have synthetic protein options if..." Zarin raised a hand, the gesture somehow both casual and regal. "Earth food is perfectly safe for my species. Blueberry pancakes sound wonderful." As Maya called the order back to her father in the kitchen, she couldn't help stealing glances at her unusual customer. There was something about him that seemed almost familiar, like a constellation she couldn't quite place. He sat with perfect posture, yet his eyes wandered the diner with childlike wonder, taking in the chrome fixtures, the vintage posters, and the ancient jukebox in the corner. "You said you travel a lot?" Maya asked as she poured him a cup of coffee. "I've always wanted to see the stars up close. I mean, I spend most nights studying them through my telescope, but it's not quite the same thing." Zarin's eyes lit up. "You're an astronomer." "Amateur astronomer," Maya corrected, feeling her cheeks warm. "I'm hoping to study astrophysics in college, though. There's just something about understanding how the universe works, you know." "Indeed." Zarin took a sip of coffee, his expression thoughtful. "Sometimes the greatest mysteries of the universe can be found in the smallest moments, like sharing a morning beverage with a stranger." Before Maya could respond, her father emerged from the kitchen with a towering stack of pancakes. The silver-skinned visitor's eyes widened at the sight, and Maya couldn't suppress a grin. "Don't worry," she said, sliding the plate in front of him. "Nobody expects you to finish the whole stack on your first visit, though we do have a wall of fame for anyone who manages it." As Zarin carefully cut into the pancakes, Maya noticed something odd. The morning sunlight catching his skin seemed to create patterns, not random reflections, but something that looked almost like writing. Before she could study it closer, the diner's door chimed again, and she turned to greet the new customers. When she looked back, the patterns were gone, and Zarin was savoring his pancakes with an expression of pure delight. "These are remarkable," he declared. "Your father is clearly a master of his craft." "Wait until you try them with real maple syrup," Maya said, reaching under the counter for the special bottle they reserved for regulars. As she set it down, their eyes met, and something passed between them, a spark of recognition, perhaps, or the beginning of understanding. Neither of them knew it yet, But this chance meeting in a small-town diner would ripple across the galaxy, changing not just their lives, but the very nature of human-alien relations. For now, though, they were simply two beings sharing breakfast and conversation as the sun climbed higher in the sky, painting the world in shades of possibility. Hidden in plain sight, the next few weeks brought more changes to Millbrook than the small town had seen in decades. It started with subtle things: streetlights that seemed to shine just a bit brighter, phones that never lost signal, and plants that grew with unusual vigor. Maya noticed these changes with the same careful attention she gave to her beloved stars, but she was more focused on her daily conversations with Zarin. He had become a regular at the diner, always arriving just as the morning rush died down. Today, he sat at his usual spot at the counter, watching Maya arrange a display of fresh-baked pies with methodical precision. "You humans have such fascinating ways of finding patterns in chaos," he observed, his silver skin catching the light in that peculiar way Maya had noticed that first morning. "The way you organize even your desserts shows such creativity." Maya laughed, sliding a slice of apple pie in front of him. "I wouldn't call alphabetical order particularly creative, though Dad insists apple pie always goes first, something about it being quintessentially American. And what do you think about that tradition?" "I think," Maya paused, considering. "I think sometimes we hold on to traditions without questioning them. Like how everyone in town just accepted that the Watsons' cornfield started growing overnight, or how nobody seems to notice the weird silver car that's been parked outside the diner every day since you showed up." Zarin's hand froze halfway to his fork, his swirling eyes meeting Maya's steady gaze. "You've noticed quite a lot." "I'm an observer. It's what astronomers do." Maya leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Just like I've noticed that you never actually eat until I'm watching, and that sometimes when you think no one's looking, you talk into your sleeve. Or that the patterns on your skin look an awful lot like the ancient scripts I've seen in my xenolinguistics textbook." A flicker of something, pride, concern, crossed Zarin's face. "Perhaps you should be studying xenoanthropology instead of astrophysics. Maybe. Or maybe I should just ask you directly why someone's been following you. Are you in trouble? Because if you are..." The diner's lights flickered, just for a moment, and Zarin straightened imperceptibly. Outside, the silver car's engine hummed to life. "Maya," he said softly, "there are things about me that would be dangerous for you to know. The less you understand, the safer you'll be." "Safe from what?" Maya challenged, but her voice held more curiosity than fear. "The people in that car. The ones who think they're being subtle with their quantum-shielded vehicle." This time, Zarin's surprise was obvious. "How did you?" "The air shimmers around it when it rains. Classic sign of quantum shielding, according to Dr. Martinez's papers on advanced alien tech. Plus, no car stays that clean in spring mud season." Maya shrugged. "I told you. I notice things." A quiet chuckle escaped Zarin. "Indeed you do. Which makes what I must do even more difficult." He reached into his sleeve, pulling out what looked like a small crystal. "I apologize, Maya, but for your own safety. If that's a memory modifier, it won't work." Maya interrupted calmly. "I'm wearing neural shielding. Have been since the second day you came in." Zarin set the crystal down, his expression shifting from concern to intrigue. "Where did a human teenager get neural shielding technology?" "I built it." Maya tapped the simple silver hairclip holding back her dark hair. "Reverse engineered it from the schematics in last month's scientific Galactic. Took me 3 tries to get it right, but I figured anyone being followed by quantum-shielded cars might eventually try something like this." For a long moment, Zarin simply stared at her. Then, to Maya's surprise, he began to laugh, a rich, genuine sound that made the lights in the diner pulse in harmony. "In all my years," he said finally, "I have never met anyone quite like you, Maya Chen. You build neural shields from magazine schematics, recognize quantum technology, and yet you still serve pie with the same care you'd give to charting stars." Well, Maya said, fighting back a grin, someone once told me the greatest mysteries of the universe can be found in the smallest moments. Zarin's expression softened. So they can. Very well, since subterfuge seems pointless with you, shall we discuss what you've really been wanting to ask about? Maya glanced at the silver car outside, then back at her unusual friend. Actually, I have a better idea. Dad's about to take his afternoon break, which means I'm off duty. Want to see my telescope? It's not quantum shielded, but I did modify it to track non-Earth objects in orbit. I would be honored, Zarin said, standing with his usual fluid grace. Though I suspect your guards won't approve, he added, almost as an afterthought. Your guards, you mean? Maya corrected, untying her apron. And they can follow us if they want. Just wait until they see what I've done with the backyard observatory. As they left the diner together, the silver car discreetly pulling away from its spot to follow at a distance, neither Maya nor Zarin noticed the dark shape that briefly flickered across the sun. But high above Millbrook, hidden ships were moving into position, and the small town's period of peaceful curiosity was about to come to an explosive end. Worlds collide. Maya's backyard observatory was hardly more than a converted shed with a retractable roof, but to her, it was a gateway to the universe. As she led Zarin inside, the familiar scent of metal and machinery wrapped around them like a comfort blanket. It's not much, she said, powering up her modified telescope system, but I've made some improvements. The tracking system can now. A high-pitched whine cut through the air, making Maya's teeth ache. Zarin's reaction was instant. He grabbed her arm and pulled her away from the telescope. Down, he commanded, his voice carrying an authority she'd never heard before. The shed's roof exploded inward, showering them with splinters and debris. Through the new opening, Maya glimpsed 3 ships hovering above her house, sleek, predatory shapes that definitely weren't from Earth. Zarin, she said calmly, despite her racing heart, I think it's time you told me who you really are. Before he could answer, the air around them shimmered, and 6 figures materialized in the remains of her observatory. Their armor was black as deep space, adorned with red symbols that seemed to writhe and shift. Emperor Zarin. One of them spoke, their voice distorted through their helmet. The Crimson Syndicate sends their regards. Maya's eyes widened. Emperor. Zarin stepped forward, positioning himself between Maya and the intruders. The casual dignity he'd shown in the diner was gone, replaced by something ancient and powerful. The writing on his skin was fully visible now, glowing with an inner light. The Syndicate knows better than to attack civilian worlds, he said, his voice resonating with authority. Or have you forgotten the treaties? Treaties mean nothing to the dead. The leader replied and raised a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Maya saw the weapon discharge, saw Zarin raise his hand, saw the air itself bend around them. The energy blast curved away, splitting into harmless particles that scattered like starlight. The silver car that had been following them crashed through the backyard fence. Its quantum shields dropped, revealing a vehicle that was definitely not from Earth. 4 figures in gleaming armor emerged, engaging the Syndicate assassins in a battle that lit up the afternoon sky. Maya, Zarin said urgently, I need you to. Duck, she interrupted, yanking him down as another blast passed overhead. She reached under her telescope's base and pulled out what looked like a small remote control. What is that? Zarin asked, deflecting another attack with a gesture. Remember when I said I modified the telescope? Maya pressed a button, and suddenly all the electronic devices in the area, including the assassin's weapons, sparked and went dead. I may have borrowed some ideas from those quantum disruption papers in last week's Scientific Galactic. The Syndicate assassins faltered, their weapons useless. Zarin's guards quickly subdued them, though 2 managed to teleport away before being captured. In the sudden quiet, Maya turned to Zarin. So, Emperor, huh? He had the grace to look sheepish, an expression that seemed bizarre on his now glowing face. "I was going to tell you. Before or after your enemies blew up my observatory." But there was no real anger in her voice, only wry amusement. "You know, this explains why you were so confused about how to eat pancakes that first day." "My lord," one of his guards approached, "we need to evacuate. The syndicate will send reinforcements." Zarin nodded, then looked at Maya. "I'm sorry about your observatory, and for putting you in danger. I should never have." "Are you kidding?" Maya gestured at the chaos around them. "This is the most exciting thing that's ever happened in Millbrook. Though," she added, surveying the destruction, "Dad's going to have some questions about the yard." "My lord," the guard insisted, "we must go." "Wait," Maya said, an idea forming. "The syndicate tracked you here somehow, right? They'll probably trace your ship's energy signature if you leave." Zarin's eyes narrowed. "You have a suggestion?" "Actually," Maya grinned, reaching for her notebook where she kept her telescope modifications, "I have several. How you feel about hiding an Imperial spaceship using parts from a microwave and my old ham radio?" For a moment, Zarin just stared at her. Then, despite everything, he laughed, that same rich sound that made lights flicker. "Maya-Chen," he said, "I believe you may be exactly what this galaxy needs." Above them, more ships were appearing in the atmosphere. Whether friend or foe, they couldn't yet tell. But as Maya spread her notebook on a fallen piece of the roof, already sketching out modifications, while Zarin's guards looked on in bewilderment, both the human girl and the Galactic Emperor knew that nothing in either of their worlds would ever be quite the same again. A choice of two worlds. The Chen family garage had never been designed to house advanced alien technology. Yet here it was, crammed with parts from Maya's dismantled electronics and pieces of what she was pretty sure was a faster-than-light drive, while an Imperial spaceship hovered above, cloaked by her improvised quantum scrambler. "Pass me that circuit board," Maya said, not looking up from her work. "The green one with the gold traces." Zarin, now formally known to her as Emperor Zarin of the Galactic Confederation, handed her the component. His royal guard stood awkwardly among her father's tools, looking distinctly uncomfortable as Maya's dad stress-baked in the kitchen nearby. "Your father is taking this remarkably well," Zarin observed. Maya snorted. "Are you kidding? This is his third batch of stress cookies, though I think he's more upset about the observatory than the whole alien emperor thing. He helped me build it when I was 12. I will ensure it's restored to its former glory," Zarin promised, "and perhaps enhanced with some improvements." "About that." Maya set down her tools, finally meeting his eyes. "We need to talk about what happens next. Your guards keep mentioning something about emergency protocols and secure facilities." The patterns on Zarin's skin dimmed slightly. "They're not wrong. The Syndicate's attack proves I've stayed in one place too long. It puts everyone here at risk." "But that's just it," Maya said, excitement creeping into her voice. "What if running isn't the answer? The Syndicate found you because they were looking for Imperial energy signatures, royal protocols, all the things they'd expect from a Galactic Emperor. But they completely missed my quantum scrambler because it was built from human technology." Zarin finished, realization dawning in his swirling eyes. Technology they'd consider too primitive to be a threat. "Exactly. And that's not all." Maya grabbed her tablet, pulling up a series of calculations she'd been working on. "Remember how you said the Syndicate's been gaining power because they can hack into Imperial systems? Well, what if we rebuilt your security protocols using Earth coding as a base? They'd never expect it, and they wouldn't know how to counter it." One of the guards made a choking sound. "My lord, you cannot seriously consider entrusting Imperial security to primitive Earth technology." "Primitive?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "My quantum scrambler just hid your ship from the most advanced tracking systems in the galaxy. Imagine what we could do with actual resources and time to prepare." Zarin studied her calculations, his expression thoughtful. It's not just about technology, Maya. The Syndicate represents thousands of worlds that believe the Empire has become too detached, too set in its ways. They're not entirely wrong. Then change it, Maya said simply. You're the Emperor, aren't you? Instead of hiding, use this as a chance to show the galaxy something new. Prove that humanity isn't just some backwater species to be ignored or protected. We could be allies. The Council would never accept. The Council didn't just hide an Imperial spacecraft with parts from a microwave. Maya interrupted. Sometimes the best solutions come from unexpected places. Isn't that what you've been learning here? Before Zarin could respond, Maya's father walked in carrying a plate of cookies. Anyone hungry? They're chocolate chip with hazelnuts. It's my grandmother's recipe for difficult discussions. The absurd normality of the moment. An alien emperor and his guards being offered homemade cookies in a suburban garage seemed to break some final barrier. Zarin laughed, the sound making the improvised quantum scrambler hum in harmony. You know what he said, accepting a cookie. In 3,000 years of imperial rule, no one has ever spoken to me the way you do, Maya. Well, in 16 years of human life, I've never helped an emperor hide from space assassins, she replied. I guess we're both breaking new ground. Indeed. Zarin's expression grew serious. What you're suggesting? Using Earth technology, forming a true alliance with humanity, it would change everything. The balance of power, the structure of the Empire itself. Maybe it needs to change, Maya said softly. You told me once that the greatest mysteries of the universe can be found in the smallest moments. Maybe the greatest solutions can too. Outside, the cloaked Imperial ship hummed quietly, its presence hidden by human ingenuity. In the kitchen, another batch of cookies was baking, filling the air with a warmth that seemed to cross all species barriers. And in the garage, surrounded by the unlikely fusion of Earth and Imperial technology, an emperor and a teenage girl stood on the brink of decisions that would reshape the galaxy. If we do this, Zarin said finally, there's no going back. The Empire will never be the same. Maya smiled, picking up her tools again. Good. Now, about these security protocols. I have some ideas about using Earth's old shortwave radio frequencies as a basis for a new encryption method. As they bent over their work together, the guards exchanged bewildered looks. Maya's father brought in more cookies, and somewhere in the distance, the Syndicate's ships searched in vain for signs of Imperial technology, never suspecting that the future of the galaxy was being redesigned in a suburban garage in Millbrook. Legacy of Stars. 1 year later, Maya stood at a podium in the Imperial Grand Hall, trying not to fidget with her graduation cap. The vast chamber, with its crystalline walls and floating lights, made Chen's diner seem like a distant dream. Yet she couldn't help but smile at the sight of her father in the front row, still wearing his cooking apron under his formal diplomatic attire. When I first met Emperor Zarin, she began, addressing the assembled delegates from across the galaxy. He was trying to figure out how to eat blueberry pancakes without losing his imperial dignity. A ripple of shocked murmurs ran through the alien diplomats. From his throne, Zarin's eyes sparkled with amusement, the patterns on his skin dancing with remembered laughter. What none of us knew then was that those pancakes would lead to the greatest technological revolution the Empire has ever seen. Maya gestured to the holographic displays surrounding the hall, showing the new hybrid systems that now protected Imperial worlds. We called it the Chen Protocol, though I wanted to call it the Pancake Protocol, but apparently some things are still too undignified for Imperial records. More laughter now, even from some of the former Syndicate members who had sworn allegiance to the reformed Empire. The Earth-based security systems had proven uncrackable, leading to a complete restructuring of Imperial technology. But that was just the beginning. But this ceremony isn't really about security protocols or quantum scramblers built from microwave parts, Maya continued. It's about something I learned making pancakes and stargazing with an emperor, that the universe's greatest strength lies in its diversity. in the way different ideas, different technologies, different species can come together to create something entirely new. She turned to the latest addition to the Imperial Grand Hall, a simple chrome coffee machine, proudly displaying the Chen's Diner logo. Sometimes the most powerful innovations come from the most unexpected places, like using radio waves to shield quantum drives or diner recipes to bridge galactic cultures. The assembled delegates nodded, many of them having experienced Earth cuisine at the now famous diplomatic breakfast sessions. Maya's father had become something of a celebrity among alien diplomats, his blueberry pancakes credited with at least 3 major peace treaties. Today, as we officially open the first human imperial technology exchange program, we're not just sharing inventions or protocols. We're sharing perspectives, ways of thinking, ways of solving problems that neither of our civilizations would have discovered alone. Maya smiled at Zarin, remembering their conversations in her destroyed observatory. Planning how to hide a spaceship with household electronics, a wise emperor once told me that the greatest mysteries of the universe can be found in the smallest moments. But he didn't tell me that the greatest changes can come from the smallest choices, like deciding to walk into a diner on Earth, or choosing to rebuild an empire from the ground up. She turned back to the audience, her voice strong and clear. The stars I use to watch through my telescope don't care what species you are or what technology you use. They shine for everyone, challenging us to reach higher, to be better, to find new ways to understand their light. That's what this program is about. That's what the new empire stands for. As applause filled the hall, Maya caught sight of her newly rebuilt observatory, visible through the crystal walls. But now it wasn't just her gateway to the stars. It was Earth's first human imperial research center, where scientists from both worlds worked together to unlock new possibilities. After the ceremony, Maya found Zarin by the coffee machine, attempting to recreate her father's perfect cup. "You still haven't mastered it," she teased, reaching past him to adjust the settings. "Some human mysteries remain beyond even imperial understanding," he admitted, "though I've finally perfected the art of eating pancakes with dignity." "Speaking of dignity," Maya said, handing him his coffee, "wait until you see what we've done with the new deep space communications array. We based it on old Earth CB radio protocols. The Council is going to hate it." Zarin's laugh echoed through the hall, making the crystal walls sing in harmony. "My dear Maya, I believe they've learned to expect nothing less from you." Outside, ships from Earth and the Empire docked side by side at the newly constructed spaceport. Inside, delegates from 100 worlds shared coffee and pancakes while discussing technology that blended the best of both civilizations. And in a small town on Earth, Chen's Diner had become a symbol of interstellar cooperation, its menu now featuring dishes from across the galaxy. Though everyone agreed that nothing quite beat the blueberry pancakes. As Maya and Zarin looked out at the stars they had both watched from her backyard observatory, they saw not just points of light, but bridges between worlds. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of humor, and a sweet tooth for pancakes. "You know," Maya said thoughtfully, "we never did get around to putting your name on the diner's wall of fame for finishing that first stack of pancakes." "Perhaps," Zarin replied with imperial dignity, "some mysteries of the universe should remain unsolved." Maya laughed, and somewhere in the vast expanse of space, 1,000,000 stars twinkled in response, witnesses to a friendship that had changed 2 worlds and united a galaxy, one pancake at a time.